right, so let's just take a look at a few of these other terminologies here as we go through and decompose, again, the different types of malware that are out there. One of the ones that you'll definitely see on your exam is the Trojan. And that goes back to the ancient story of Troy, where a wooden horse was delivered as a gift, and inside the wooden horse there was a bunch of warriors that jumped out and ended up wreaking some havoc. So a Trojan is similar to that, how it poses as a legitimate threat or a legitimate program that actually is a threat after it installs on the system. So it hides, and then it comes to life and could do a bunch of damage to the system. One thing to consider here is this thing called a logic bomb. We talked earlier about with a logic bomb, typically on your exam you'll see if-then-else statements associated with logic bombs. And if you think about it like that, the predefined time could be one thing that is a logic bomb. So if at 8 o'clock a.m. Rebecca doesn't log into the system, delete all files off the server, right? So that's an if-then-else. That's a logic statement. So that would be associated to a logic bomb. And we've already seen a couple of questions as we've gone through this week so far and done a bunch of questions so far. We've seen a couple of questions that had logic bomb in the answer. This last one on this slide here, talking about malware, is a backdoor. And there's two different types of backdoors. They have the benign ones, and then they have the malicious ones. I think about probably the most famous backdoor that I can remember is in the movie War Games. That's the one where, if you recall, the WAPA, they had the Whopper, and the Whopper was the global thermonuclear war. It was in charge of launching the missiles. And the developer of the Whopper, if you recall, he put the backdoor hook into the system so he could get in if he needed to, and he used the keyword Joshua to be able to get into the backdoor. So that's a benign hook. Typically, it could be like a maintenance hook that you hear put into the system so software engineers can, after it's in production, go out there and do some debugging, some test diagnosis of why things are behaving in a different way. One of the other things here is this malicious backdoor, and that means that it allows unauthorized access. Usually you see this in the form of a RAT, a remote access Trojan. Usually there are programs that are associated with RATs that can be very, very easily caught whenever you're going through and looking at systems or scanning for it on the network. And there's one specifically that is a wonderful network engineering tool called Netcat, and it's called the Swiss Army knife of network security. And the reason that is because you can do just about anything on a network with Netcat. So oftentimes, people that develop these remote access Trojans, they hide Netcat inside of something that looks and behaves regularly. And when the person launches it, it then launches an opening or a listener on your machine to allow people to remotely connect to it, which is pretty clever if you think about it. So there's a few different types of things that are out there that are malicious backdoors, and that's the definition of it right there.